Hello, everyone, and welcome to Lunch for the Soul. Look at these beautiful guests I have here today. Do we ever have a story of survival to share with you? Be ready to be wowed. Be ready for your heart to just feel so amazing because you are not going to believe what a survivor, the young man who is sitting right here has to share today. I'm talking about Tyler Comeaux. Welcome, Tyler. I'm so happy you're here. Along with your dad, Kirk. Welcome.
Nice.
I know you're proud of this guy.
I'm very proud.
We also have Charlene Irania, who helped bring you back to this strong man that you are as an occupational therapist at Tier Memorial Hermann. Welcome. We're going to hold off on you. I'm calling you the grand finale because you're the one who really made all of this happen at the end of the story. But we're going to get you the first of the story first. So, Tyler, I want to go back. Let's first of all talk about when this happened to you. Where were you and what were you doing?
So, yeah, it was actually the summer after I graduated high school.
So it was about a year
and a half ago? Year and a half. So, yeah, I was actually at the gym with one of my good buddies, just normal as could be, you know, normal day, just working out, doing my thing. Come back from getting water from the water fountain, come back to my workout. Middle of my set, I drop my weights. I kind of sit up.
You were doing a bench press, if I
was
recall,
doing
right?
dumbbell bench.
Dumbbell bench, okay.
Yeah, so I was doing that. I drop my weights. I just sit up, kind of doze off into the mirror, just completely blank stare. Fall over, start seizing out, pretty much everything just starts going wrong.
Before that, what did you feel like? Did you feel anything odd?
Yeah,
happening?
so I was walking back from the water fountain, and I was kind of just like, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was just feeling myself because I felt kind of off. I felt tired. I felt just kind of out of it.
Maybe that's why you went to go get the water break, right? When you think back at it, who knows? So you come back and this happens. What do your friends do?
So my friend was actually behind me on one of the benches, and he's just like, so I fell over, and he kind of came up to me. It was like, Tyler, stop playing, stop playing around, just get up. And then I start seizing. He's like, holy crap, something's actually wrong. And then
there were other people there.
Oh,
who
yeah.
Knew what
So
to
there
do.
was Marine Corps medics there. My friend's dad was an off-duty police officer. So they start rushing towards me. They jump on me. They call 911, call the ambulance. They kind of just secure me or secure the whole thing, secure the whole situation while everyone's watching.
So they get you the ambulance. They're racing you to the hospital.
Yes, ma'am. So the ambulance gets there.
Do you remember any of that going on after
Not at
you
all.
fell over? Nothing.
Not
That's
at all. I just remember the water incident, just coming back from the water fountain.
All right, I'm going to bring in your dad at this point. When do you find out that all of this was going down in the gym?
So we get the call. I'm sitting on the couch, and obviously you watch your son walk out the door healthy, and
we haven't talked about what a strong athlete. He was about to go off to college and be the pitcher. So
yeah, he was going to be a pitcher at a local university here, actually right down the street. And so we get the call. My wife got the call, and she said, "Hey, we got to go." I was like, "Okay, what's going on?" And she said, "Tyler had a seizure." Now, as a baby, he had febrile seizures, but he grew out of those about four or five. And so we jump up, and first thing I'm thinking is, okay, he had a long day at practice. He's working out again. He's at the gym. He's stressed himself out.
Maybe he's dehydrated.
Maybe dehydrated. Yeah. He had a caffeine drink or something that led to this, right, to have a seizure. So we get to ER, and he's still seizing.
Are we talking like a grand mal seizure? It's pretty severe.
It's pretty severe. His eyes are rolled in the back of his head, and he's completely
my
drenched.
goodness, by the time you've gotten to the hospital, what, it had been 30 minutes now?
Almost,
and
yes.
still
He's
having that long of a seizure.
And so we get there, and he's going through this, and they had already prepped him to go back to take a brain scan, which I thought they would have already done. But so they take him back. It only takes a couple of minutes to come back, and that's when we got the news that he had a brain bleed. And at that point, you don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
And the young neurologist that was there on call, or was actually in ER, said, "Hey, we need to drill a hole in his head." And
because they had to let some pressure out.
Yeah, let the pressure out because he's got a brain bleeding. And what a lot of people don't understand is that I think there's your brain inside inside your brain, or your skull is about 14 psi, up to 20 psi pressure, and your blood pressure is 80 to 120. So when that bursts, all that pressure from your vessel enters into your brain. This is the way I was explaining it, and so then all the pressure is now on your brain, and so that leads to the brain damage. Is the pressure, if they don't relieve the pressure instantly. So we had to sign a lot of paperwork, and luckily they called the career neurologist, brain surgeon that was on call. He said, absolutely not, don't do that, get him on the operating table. I'll be there, I'll get my tools, and I'll be there shortly. They got him up on the operating table, and we learned afterwards that as they were going up in the elevator to OR, he was losing brain function already. And about 2 hours into the surgery, we're waiting. One of the doctors come out, and it's not the main surgeon, but it's the guy that was helping him. And they explained to us it was really bad, and it was severe.
I know, it's so hard to think back and remember those moments.
Yeah, so in that moment, they said, we're trying to save him, and doing all we can. We can't find the bleed. There's too much blood, and we're doing all we can. So I figured at that point, that was the message. It wasn't going to be good. Probably going to lose him. So.
And again, this is somebody headed off to college at the start of the most exciting time in life, I feel like.
Yeah.
And that's how you last saw him. I know that had to be so devastating.
It was.
How did you handle those moments of not knowing?
The next 4 hours we didn't hear anything. We're in there by ourselves. It's 1 in the morning. It's just my wife and I and my business partner Chris. And just waiting, in every little door that opens, you're waiting for a doctor to come through to tell you something, and it was excruciating. I think it was around 2 o'clock in the morning they came out. The other doctor was buttoning him up, and they said, hey, we found the bleed. We were able to clip the aneurysm. We're sewing him back up right now. We're going to scrub in, and we'll get him to over to ICU, and you'll be able to see him. And then we did the best we could. It's just time's going to tell.
But they didn't give you a lot of hope, did they? They thought
didn't.
that he would be in a vegetative state for life?
For life.
At that point?
Yes.
That's what usually happens when someone has an aneurysm that severe.
It was very severe, and it was one of the worst, he said. So he came in the next morning to kind of give us a readout on what he saw, and he said in all of his years in practice that this was probably one of the worst he's ever seen, and it was just a very grim outlook. He made it through the night, which he was surprised. He said if he can make it through the next 3 days, it would be a miracle. And then gave us the grim news of, it's just 6:30 in the morning. He's telling my wife and I that start preparing for assisted living. He won't be able to breathe on his own. He won't be able to eat on his own. He'll be lucky if he's in any type of cognitive state.
For life,
For
not
life.
not just temporarily.
No, for
This
life.
was forever.
For life, yes.
Look at him sitting next to you
Yeah.
today. Well, he beat those stats.
It takes everything you have just to hold yourself together.
You started a prayer chain, and that
I
made a
did.
big difference. I know
I
that
did.
thousands of people reached out
Thousands.
to you. It wasn't
Yes.
just, this spread. People were begging God to save
was
this
instant.
guy.
Yeah, it was instant. And I started it that night. I reached out to several friends and woke them up.
I want to talk about what happened when you realized that he had a brain functioning in that head of his.
So
This is a moment of
Yeah,
all
so
moments that you
we-
captured on video that we're going to share.
yeah, so
Yeah.
obviously a lot of prayers over the first 24 hours. It was just the people reaching out. Some people we didn't even know reaching out to us, and it was just an absolute miracle just to have all of that support instantly because we're faithful. So his coach, Mike.
From his high school.
Yeah, from
Yes.
St. Pius,
Yeah,
came
Mike
over
Evans.
and brought a gift basket with some chips and cookies and stuff, and it had a baseball in it. He came to see him and talked to him, and
he was completely non-responsive at this point.
he was out. Yeah,
but he still talked.
And the doctor said that was very important to hear voices constantly. So Mike went and put the ball in his right hand, because he's a right-handed pitcher, and luckily it was a right brain injury, so the right side was fine. It was the left side that was paralyzed. And then he said his goodbyes and he walked out. The ball stayed in his hand for quite a while, and then we're just sitting there, and we see his hand moving. He starts spinning the baseball.
And he's supposed to be in a coma.
He's in a coma.
Right? He
He's
is
still
in a coma.
Yeah, he's out.
But his hand is moving.
His hand's moving. And my wife noticed it first. She says, "Look." And so we saw it. And then a nurse came in, and she saw it, and she kind of freaked out. She ran and got the neurologist that was on duty. He came in there. He was very surprised, because they didn't feel like he'd have any cognitive ability whatsoever. So that was the first sign of life, so to speak.
And then he started doing what you ask with that baseball, right?
Yes, and so that's what I took out my phone, obviously, and videoed it, and started asking him, show me some pitches. And I asked him to show me a four seam, show me a two seam, show me a curveball.
Show me your changeup. Pick it up. Show the camera. All right. Show me your slider. Show me your slider. All right, slider. Perfect, dude.
The eyes are closed. He's not
Still out.
moving. He can't talk. But he did every single one of them correctly.
Every single one, yes.
Every call correctly.
Every one.
But he wouldn't talk to you if you asked him questions or
No.
ask him to open his eyes. Nothing like that.
Nothing like that. He was on command. He could,
How do you feel about that? You hear these stories. I'm sure you don't remember that happening, do you?
So I don't not explicitly, but I just kind of I remember it, but I don't remember.
You do? Okay.
I do, yeah. So I just remember it being completely black, just not really know what's going on. And I hear my dad talking to me, just kind of grip me some pitches, show me a four seam, show me this and that. And I remember I couldn't remember how to do it, but I had it in my hand. I just kept spinning it, trying to feel the seams, trying to get that muscle memory, trying to get it back, trying to remember how to do it. And I remember just laying there, laying back, just keep on spinning it. He told me what to do. Spin it, just feel the seams. And when it felt right, you know what I mean?
And you would stop, and then it was right.
Yeah.
So I asked him, can you hear me? And just nod your head or anything, and there was nothing. And I just said, can you give me a thumbs up?
And he could do that. So the one thing he could do was the one right hand to acknowledge that he was in there. How did that feel? That something was ticking in there. It was working.
Yeah, so, obviously from the neurologist giving us the grim outlook the day before, and then, this happening, it gives you hope.
Oh, of course. And I know that it renewed your faith, didn't it?
Just the whole situation?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, all of it.
Yeah, for sure. I remember just whenever we got transferred to the inpatient hospital, it was really the first time in my life that I was like, Dad, I need to pray about this. You know what I mean? Because I was definitely never really in my faith that much, just up until this point. Just I don't know, it was something tugging at my heart, just I need to pray about this. I don't know what else to do, Because, whenever you're in that position, what else can you do,
Well, and
when the doctors are telling you this and that.
Yeah.
You know
And
what I
at
mean?
that point, you were more like a toddler, and your friends are going off to college, entering fraternities, and doing
for sure,
things
yeah.
frat guys
It's
do,
like-
and you're in a
yeah.
toddler state.
Yeah, I'm freshly turned 18 years old. All my friends are going off to play college baseball, going off to school, having the time of their lives, doing whatever they want to do, you know what I mean? I'm relearning how to walk.
Yeah. and
you know,
talk and
yeah.
eat. Your dad had to feed you and
Yeah.
dress you as though you were a baby
Yeah,
again.
exactly.
I know that had to be so frustrating, right? But but
I
so
don't
but,
think
but so
frustrating.
happy he's alive,
Yeah,
you don't care, right?
Now, obviously, he's still trying to get back to baseball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I never cared if he ever touched the mound again,
As long as he was alive.
as long as he was
Yeah.
here. And I think that obviously a lot of prayer helped, but the faith got us through it.
I want to bring in Irania. We've made you wait long enough to join this conversation because you talked about that inpatient hospital you went to. So we were talking about Tier Memorial Hermann, the rehab center of all, #1 in Texas, top in the whole country and the world. And you work there, fine lady. So how incredible is that? So you were one of the very first people to see him when he entered. And then later on, too, once he got to go to outpatient. What was it like the first time you saw him? Where was he in the stage of all this?
I think he had just arrived. He'd been evaluated, and I work in an outpatient center, but I was covering inpatient, and I just had the privilege of meeting Tyler. His mom and his dad were there, and if you can't tell already, Tyler is very charismatic, and his personality was there. Even then, he had a craniectomy, so therefore he had to wear a helmet on.
And tell what that means. They had to actually take part of his skull off to
Yes.
relieve the pressure?
Yes.
So you wear a helmet to protect the brain? Okay.
And so, I saw him, and like for me, like one thing I appreciate Tyler is like he really is the embodiment of resilience. And one thing I do know is the young people are resilient, and Tyler is that. And so when I got him, his mom is so precious. She was so nervous, and I was like, you know what? I saw him, he was cracking jokes, albeit, and I was like, I could see in him then that it was in there. I was like, Tyler, we're going to work very hard in this session, and he did. Everything I asked him, I got him up to transfer. We sat unsupported. He's reaching out of his basic support, and he did it very well. And I told them, I was like, one thing we know when a person has had like a neurologic condition, if you can sit unsupported, you're already ahead of the game, and he had it, right? Yeah. And he still had his personality in there. So I knew from that point, I was like, you're going to do good work, or what have you. And he was cracking jokes, I was cracking jokes, and I was like, I can see a person that's driven, and he was there.
And
right?
then you had to wait a couple months before you saw him again, right?
Yes.
Because you were an outpatient with him. So
Correct.
then what was that jump like?
I screamed when I saw him.
Do you remember that?
Because actually, when I saw Tyler in inpatient, he was in a wheelchair.
Yeah.
And then when he came to outpatient, he was walking. I was like, oh my goodness, you're walking, right? Didn't realize how tall he was. Tyler is a tall drink of water, you know? And then at that point, he still had his helmet. He actually traversed through our challenge program, which is a return to school and work or volunteer program first. So he had the pleasure of working with some of our phenomenal clinicians there. And then, by the time he got to me, Tyler was sprinting around Kirby Glen at that point, but the hand still needed a little more love, right? And like one thing again, I always give to Tyler, we call him the poster child of neuroplasticity, and neuroplasticity basically means the brain's ability to adapt. And we say that because anything I gave Tyler, we would do it in session. He might struggle, he'll come back, he'll master it, right? And I was like, that is neuroplasticity. Wow. Like I would dream up,
finest.
I mean, literally, just look at him, and so I would dream up something, I'd do it, Tyler would go home, execute it. So he was like, he is a dream patient. He's very inspirational to me, and honestly, like he's my favorite patient. I think about him, I talk about him all the time, and I use him as reference for my other patients. Like he overcame adversity, and it shows if you dedicate, put in the effort, the results will be fruitful. And I say that because when I got Tyler, he didn't have very much movement in his hand, right? So he was optimistic and open to all my little strategies I made. We created interventions, they worked, and now he has significant return improvement to his hand. And it's a testament again to his wonderful supporting family, his drive, his ambition, and just like his dedication to his recovery. But like it was my ultimate pleasure to work with him, and I'm like, he can come back any day. And I'm like, I'm Team
He goes,
Tyler.
no, I'm good, I'll just come to say hi. No
I'm
rehab,
Team Tyler.
right? But you do have a little more rehab going on. So
Yes,
tell me a
ma'am.
little bit about what's going on. So are you playing ball right now? What's going on with that? No?
No, ma'am. So at school, I got gray shirted my freshman year just to kind of focus more on recovery because, so obviously I took a gap year between high school and college.
Right.
And then
To recover.
Yes, ma'am. Literally to get back on my feet, right?
Literally.
Yes, ma'am. So after that was done, it was time for school. I got in contact with my baseball coach at HCU, and we were talking. I wasn't well enough. I wasn't ready to really start practicing with the team. you know, because I mean, if you can't use your hand,
Right. That's
what are you
problem.
going to be able to do?
Yeah.
Right. So he was just like, hey, we're going to gray shirt you, give you another year to just focus on your recovery, and then your sophomore year, if you're ready, we'll get you on the team.
That's
So, yeah.
huge. How incredible is it to have had that support all this time?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been one of the main reasons why I'm even here, honestly, where I'm at in my life. You know, it's why I've wanted to keep going.
you felt like it motivated you
I have
that
so many
much that they believed in you?
Yes,
and that
man.
they're
I have
waiting
so
for
many
you?
people behind me. It would feel like a dishonor to them if I gave up after coming this far, you know, because I mean, it's so hard to stay positive about the future, especially like early on,
Sure, it was.
you know,
Yeah.
but it was just, there's so many people, Tyler, you can do this. You can, if you really want it, you can get there. You're just going to have to put the work in.
And I think that's where faith comes in as well.
Yeah,
Oh,
for sure.
For sure it is.
Yeah.
Now tell me what else you have coming up to work on your hand. What are you doing?
So this Thursday I have a consultation at Tier inpatient for the Cryonalysis.
And what is that?
From my understanding, it's where they freeze off the top layer of the nerve to eliminate the spasticity in the extremity. So, and then the spasticity kind of just involuntarily curls my hand up. So if I get rid of that, I'm going to be,
Look out.
Yeah.
Have you seen this make a big difference for patients?
It has, and I'm very, very optimistic that it's going to really work out well for Tyler because, as you mentioned, his biggest limitation is like rigidity and spasticity that causes flexion, and that's really the impediment. He has what we call volition. He can actively use it, but the tightness in the hand kind of restricts his ability to freely move his hand the way he'd like to.
Oh, so you're getting closer. Then will you do rehab after that? Or will it
We're
be just
hoping.
ready to go?
We're
Yeah.
hoping we can go back to Tier and do more rehab
Yeah.
with her.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So that's
Yeah.
our goal.
Yes.
Yes.
I know they want me back.
Of course.
I don't
Always
think
welcome.
they're finished
Yeah.
with you yet. I think you're very welcome over there. It
But
sounds
yeah.
like.
It's kind of like, it's honestly my second family at this point. I
Oh,
mean,
I
I feel like
bet.
even the people I have never had,
They know him.
they know me, and they're like, every time I'd walk in, they're like, Tyler, what's up? You know, it's like,
Well, I'm sure a lot of people are probably wondering why in the world would this happen to somebody so young, so healthy, an athlete, but you found out it was something that had been dealing with, it was born
He
with.
was born with.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it was an anomaly in the brain that you
It
didn't
is.
know about,
That's correct.
and it finally, at some point, it was probably going to.
At some point in life, and so it was explained to us, it was a weakness in one of the main vessels, one of the main arteries of his brain. And because he's an athlete, because he was straining his body, that's why it happened. So it could have happened at any time later in life, but it happened. And, you know, we thank God that they told us any break in the chain, when it happened to surgery, could have been, you know, minutes. It could have been death.
And that's right down to those medics being in the
Oh,
gym and
yeah.
knowing what to do and how to
Absolutely.
treat him and how to help him and how fast the ambulance got there. They got him in the operating room in a little
over
under
an
an
hour.
hour,
An
just right at
hour,
an hour,
yeah.
right? Which is
Yeah,
incredible. You
it's
think about going from
incredible.
the gym to the OR.
Yeah, and to get in touch with the one of the best neurosurgeons in the Houston area to operate on him, which he just gave him an award this past weekend, which was pretty cool with the Joe Necro Foundation, and so that was pretty awesome. But you know, I gotta give a lot of credit to Tier. For what they've done, the inpatient and the outpatient, the caring people, they do care about their jobs, and it's like Tyler said, it's like a second family. We've got to know everyone there, and they're such good people, and I would hope that anybody that has a condition like Tyler that survives it, because many people don't survive, can get that support that we were able to get from Tier.
I always think it's such a good way to wrap up things by just giving a take-home message to people for somebody who's going through a hard time. And we know a lot of people suffer. What is your best advice to keep on keeping on with a positive attitude? How have you done it? What's your best advice?
Like, how have I done it personally?
Yes. I know you have a lot of people backing you. That
Oh,
helps.
for sure. I think just for me, it's just making the most light out of it you can. Because, I mean, I remember, especially when I was an inpatient, like what she said, I mean, I was cracking everyone up. I was just being me, you know what I mean? That's what I've always been good at, just being myself, being true to who I am, not letting a situation dictate who I am and what I'm going to be able to do with my life. You know what I mean?
Overcomer in every
For sure.
every
I mean, it's
degree.
just like, honestly, what I asked myself every day was, how bad do I want this for myself? Because I know I knew that if I gave up, I would never be able to live with it, you know, like, because I would always be asking myself, what if I really put everything into it? But whenever the situation is past, you can't go back, you know what I mean? So it's just, how bad do I want it for myself? How bad do my goals mean to me?
And obviously
You
they
know?
meant a lot because
They
you've
meant a
come
ton.
so
I
far.
mean,
Tyler, thank you for sharing your beautiful story, and to your dad who loves you so much. I just feel the love from your body to him, and I know that you have a really close, lovely family, and thanks for all you do here in
especially
our
after this, I
community.
mean,
Yeah.
dude, I mean, we're like,
Very close. You always will be for
it's
life.
my man right here.
I think he thinks the same about you. All right. Thank
For
you again,
sure.
Comeaux.
Thanks.
Great
Thank you.
job.
Thank you for having me.
And thank you all for joining us here on Lunch for the Soul. I told you your heart was going to be touched. I got to go wipe away my tears. I'll see you back next week.